It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. I am Jill Schlesinger, your hostess. I'm also the CBS News business analyst and a certified financial planner. Now remember, this is the show that is not scary. It's not boring. We're trying to take the mystery out of your financial life so that you can make better financial decisions. And for this hour, I have something really exciting to announce. The Jill on Money brand is going into the world of video. So if you're listening to this, either through YouTube or actually on the terrestrial radio station of your choice, this is so exciting because you'll actually be able to see us when you would like to see us at your convenience. So let me give you a little of the backstory of how this all came about. When my book came out, when The Great Money Reset came out, I appeared as a guest on a podcast called The Compound and Friends, which is co-hosted by Josh Brown and Michael Batnick. Now, it's more of an investing podcast, and they go pretty deep into stuff, but I just loved these guys, and I loved their energy and the way they presented information. They also happen to be part of a registered investment advisory firm, so they kind of get the gig. Well, we all fell in love, and it was really awesome when we collaborated to come up with this idea of creating video content under the Compound YouTube channel. It's going to be just like this show, but with a video component, which is kind of fun. I really have to say, as someone who's been appearing on TV for 15 years or more, the idea of just talking to you guys and seeing your faces, it's amazing for me. So to introduce you to this concept, I'd love to present to you an interview that I conducted with one of the Compound co-hosts, Josh Brown. Now, if you guys watch CNBC, he's downtown Josh Brown, the reform broker, and he is so awesome to work with. So what we're going to talk about in this segment is the program, what we intend to do, and you're going to get a sense of Josh, and you'll figure out just why I fell in love with him. And we're going to bring you a conversation with his partner, Michael Batnick, also. But I just really want you to be as excited as I am to launch this new venture. Again, it is the Jill on Money video version powered by The Compound. So all you have to do is go to YouTube and you search for The Compound. When you get there, you'll see a little tab that says playlists, and there will be a playlist for Jill on Money. Again, it's video, but it's conversation, and it's really going to be a great deal of fun. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to really expanding our universe and giving you lots of different ways to experience this type of content. Okay, so here is part one of my interview with Josh Brown. Josh Brown?
Yes.
Jill Schlesinger here.
Is this Jill on Money? The Jill on Money experience?
This is the Jill on Money experience brought to you by the Compound and Friends.
Awesome.
Can I just go back in time? I fell in love with you and Michael less than a year ago.
Us too.
And so this is like Beshert that we have come together.
Yes.
And brought these two crazy people into a room together, you and me.
Yes.
And I can't thank you enough for the opportunity. It's like you're bringing us into your family. So it's the Compound and Friends, but now I feel it's friends and family.
Yeah. So that's the way I think of it. You're in the family. You're very special in a multitude of ways, obviously, but in terms of the Compound itself, you are the first non-Ritholtz Wealth employee to have a show on the Compound Network. So you're almost like it's like a Neil Armstrong thing. Like we're seeing how this goes in real time, and it's very exciting. Okay.
So I want to cover the base of like why I actually got involved in this program, because I really knew you from a long time ago. You don't even know that. I don't think you realize, but I followed you on Twitter when Twitter was Twitter, and it was fun.
OG Twitter. Yeah.
Before it was a cesspool.
Yeah.
And you once retweeted something I did at CBS Money Watch.
Okay.
Who could remember when?
Right.
And I was so excited. I was very tickled because I was like, oh my God.
Oh, cool.
Downtown Josh Brown.
Yeah.
Actually. And so I think what I loved about it is that both you and I trained as investment advisors.
Yep.
I came from the trading world. You came from the retail sales of the investment
You could
world.
say boiler room. It's okay.
I wasn't gonna. I don't want to say that.
Everyone,
but to people,
it's out there.
So,
We're proud of
for
it.
people who don't know a little bit of your
Yeah.
backstory, can you explain who you are and how you got to this amazing, lofty place?
I would love to. So for the Jill on Money audience that is not very familiar with my backstory, I spent the first 10 years of my career selling stocks, mutual funds, closed-end funds. I was like the stereotypical Series 7 registered representative working at a succession of brokerage firms, and our job was to sell products to people. Sometime around 2008, 2009, I don't know what was going on in the world.
I know, it's sort of a small thing.
Yeah. During the great financial crisis, I really was forced to look in the mirror and admit to myself that nothing I had done in that first 10 years was really helping anyone. And I was not really helping myself either. I wasn't particularly successful, I think because I had a conscience. Not a great thing to have when you're selling commission-based financial products. Anyway, I made a decision to reform. That's where the blog title, The Reformed Broker, came from. It kind of became my persona online. I joined Twitter. I started to write my blog. I met some of my idols, including Barry Ritholtz. Fast forward a couple of years, we launched the current firm that we own in 2013. And I am no longer, obviously, a retail stockbroker. Back in 2010, I dropped my Series 7. I am now a Series 65 IAR, Investment Advisor Representative. That's the designation. Mm-hmm. And the firm we manage is a registered investment advisory firm, which means we only get paid for advice. We can't sell any products to anyone. And that's the way we like it.
And Ritholtz has people all over the country, right? It's
Yeah.
like they're not all. You don't like have employees per se.
Yeah, all over the room.
I mean, but you have people all over the place who are not just. You're a New York-based organization with people all over the place.
Yes. So we're a very strange firm. Most registered investment advisory firms, as you know, they're built locally, and if they do well, they expand regionally. Then they become statewide. Then maybe they make an acquisition in a contiguous state, and they grow that way. We grew outside in. We had more clients outside of New York than in New York, and that's because the entire following of the firm was not built at a country club where we play golf all day. It was built online, and it was built based on our ideas and our writing and our philosophies. So we're 60-something people at this point. I think we have 25 client-facing certified financial planners. Those are the people who interact with our clients each day and really become a part of their lives. And then we've got this whole incredible run of support folks, client service associates, researchers, subject matter experts in areas like tax, estate planning, insurance. We've got a team of traders. We've got a media team, as you can see here. So
Jesus,
it's been really
it's like a lot of overhead, though, man. I gotta tell you something.
It's a lot of overhead, but we nobody told us to do it this way.
Yeah.
This is what we want.
We'll get back to my conversation with Josh Brown in just a moment. Again, if you would like to subscribe to the Jill on Money video channel, just go to YouTube and search for The Compound. We're a separate playlist under The Compound's YouTube channel. And if you have a financial question and you want to appear on the video channel, you want to appear on this program, all you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. And we do that through many different ways. The first thing that we encourage you to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and bookmark it because you'll want to come back to it. all of our content lives on that website, meaning that we've got a blog section. So that's where I muse over whatever's going on in the world. There is a section for books because I've written 2 books. There's resources. You can sign up for our free weekly newsletter. It comes out every single Friday. And Mark does such a great job figuring out what's important and what you need to know about what just happened throughout the week. Good tune-up for the weekend show. And also on the website, you are going to see a news section. So for those of you who have been on the website, you're going to notice this. We are launching a really cool venture called Jill on Money Video. And it's Jill on Money that is powered by The Compound. The Compound is basically a media company formed out of 2 guys who did an amazing, amazing podcast, Josh Brown and Michael Batnick. And their show is called The Compound and Friends, and they've done a lot of really cool stuff. I was a guest on this show earlier this year, fell in love with these guys, and we came together to collaborate and to create a video version of these conversations that I have with you guys on audio. So this is called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. It's video. It's not a podcast. It's not this radio show. It's brand new content separate from anything else that we've done. If you want to check it out, all you need to do is go to YouTube. You know how to do that. Come on. I don't have to tell you how to do that. Go to YouTube and search for The Compound. And when you get to the Compound channel, you'll see that there are playlists. And we, Jill on Money, we are listed as a separate playlist. And again, this is not anything we've done anywhere else. This is video conversations with you guys. And if you think you'd like to appear with us, all you need to do is click the Contact Us button on the JillOnMoney.com website, and there'll be a choice. If you'd like to appear with us on the video, on audio, just let us know. Okay, so what I'm presenting today is an interview that I conducted with one of the co-hosts of The Compound and Friends, Josh Brown. You may know him as Downtown Josh Brown if you watch CNBC, and he has a great podcast with his partner, Michael Batnick. Part of the reason I really wanted to partner with these guys is they do something very different than what we do. They are an investing podcast. They are really recognizing that some of you want to have some fun. You want to scratch the trading itch, but you don't want to put all of your money at risk doing so. You want to do this responsibly with some portion of your portfolio. So here is more of my interview with Josh Brown. What's interesting to me is that, like, you are a straightforward, like, investment advisor, pretty vanilla when you talk about, like, advice and what you need to do. However, your show, The Compound and Friends, I think that it was surprising when people might tune into you. First of all, you're so incredibly entertaining, but also you love talking about the economy and investing. I mean, Michael is a CFA, not a CFP. So his brain is wired to, like, love investing.
Yeah.
So how do you marry these two sides together? Like, hey, I'm
so
kind of like the boring advice guy, but I love talking stocks.
I'm really glad that you asked that. This is my lane. If you think about the spectrum of market commentators, on the far left, let's say, you have the mad money crowd, day trading, options trading, hedge fund wannabe, like just people that think or act as though they know everything that's about to happen. They're an expert on every stock under the sun. They're constantly trading. They're always making money. Everything they say is right. That's, I think, traditionally what's dominated financial media, let's say, up until the last 10 years. And there's been a sea change, which we can go very in depth or we could just gloss over it. But let's say that's one end of the spectrum. Then you've got the other end of the spectrum of financial commentator, and that is very puritanical, very doctrinaire. Anyone who ever deviates in any way from the Vanguard 500 index ETF at 3 basis points is literally a heretic and should be burned at the stake. And
I might lean that way.
Okay,
I'm scared.
You've got the Bogleheads Forum.
Yeah.
You've got you've got people who just are you actively investing? How dare you? How are you unfamiliar with the academic literature on how detrimental it is to actually have an opinion on a stock? Okay, those are the two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I think I'm closer to the more puritanical in terms of what we actually do for clients.
Yeah.
However, I think I'm much more interested in the left side of the spectrum, market commentary, price targets, upgrades, downgrades, new technology breakthroughs. That's what I'm really excited about and interested in. I just know better than to think I'm going to dominate that type of market activity. Of course, I'm not.
Yeah.
Here's why that's important to our viewers, listeners, fans, readers, subscribers. They feel the same. I think they feel the same way that I do. It's important to know what's going on in the market, and with prolonged exposure to that information, what should happen is you should recognize a pattern. How many people are wrong, how many things people are wrong about, how frequently everyone is wrong. And once you become accustomed to that, you start to realize, okay, the right side is the way to do it. The left side, though, being exposed to it and understanding it is why I'll be able to stick to the right side.
I love this idea that once you're really immersed in the world of looking at stocks and valuations and all this stuff and ups and downs, and like I love when you and Michael are talking and you're like, well, next 30 days.
Yeah.
Now, like that appeals to the trader in me.
Yeah.
But you're right. The more you do it.
Michael is next 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the more you do it, the more you do realize like, oh, wait a second. This is nonsense. And I'm not saying nonsense, you can't make money. But when I'm talking to people and they come on the show and they're like, they have a fun money account. Like, I'm cool with that.
Everyone does.
Everyone has a fun money account,
Yeah.
right? So I think for me, I do sort of lean towards the indexing, and it just makes more sense. And by the way, there's so many more ways to be constructive about building wealth than just investing.
I want to say two things. So we are the type of firm that says what we really believe, and I think people appreciate that. And as a case in point, on Tuesday of this week, my chief operating officer, Nick Majuli, who also writes a very popular blog called Of Dollars and Data, he did a post where he talks about when he was younger, he used to think that his job was to optimize his portfolio perfectly. And he's laughing at how little money he had, but he was so obsessed with, how much stocks, how much bonds, how much cash, how much gold. As he grew up, and I've watched him grow up, I've known him for a long time, and he's been here with us for years, he came to understand that's irrelevant. What really matters is raising my income. What really matters is building my career. The asset allocation being optimized or not ain't going to make a difference. Now, how many financial advisory firms would allow an employee to say that out loud?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
We have always said things like that out loud. I think people read them and appreciate them. It's a little bit unorthodox. It's a little bit renegade, but that's what we're about. The second thing, if people say like, "Oh my God, you how do you expose yourself to this much market commentary and TV and podcasts? Like how does it not drive you crazy or to do crazy things with your investing?" There's a great scene in The Avengers, and the whole movie, Robert Downey Jr. is trying to trigger Mark Ruffalo, and like, what's your secret? Like, how are you staying under control and not becoming the Hulk?
Yeah.
So I think by the end of the movie, Ruffalo says, "All right, you want to know my secret? I'm always angry." Okay. So you want to know my secret for how I don't get triggered to like do crazy things in my, because I'm always around it. I swim in it, so I know better. I know that so much of it is entertainment, infotainment. It's great knowledge to have. It's exciting. But I also know how little of it is really actionable.
We'll get back to my interview with Josh Brown in just a minute. This is the Jill on Money Show. If you've got a question, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's conclude my interview with Josh Brown.
Why don't we tell people, it's your show, but why don't we tell people what your goal is? Just in all the years you've been broadcasting, all of the fans that you've touched and helped, and all of the information you've delivered, what do you want the Jill on Money audience to get, not just out of joining forces with us, but just in general? Tell us a little bit about your mission.
I mean, look, the bottom line for me has always been that I try to take complicated and emotional topics and make them relatable to people. So, I'm your sassy aunt, I'm your sassy sister, I'm your sassy daughter, I'm the nice Upper West Side lesbian Jewess who will help guide you.
Right. Which most people don't have one of those.
I mean, everyone needs one, obviously.
Right.
And to me, I think that we are so crazy about money and we're so crazy about our decision making when it comes to anything financial that I want to give people the space to just say, like, I get it. We are all crazy.
Yeah.
And the world is more than just your investments. And, when I wrote the book, the Reset book, it was really about my conversations with real people who are really struggling with big decisions in their lives. So what I hope to do is I basically say, come on, tell me what's going on. What's bothering you? What's the conflict between you and your spouse? What are you having a problem with mom? How are you trying to manage this? You're young, you're starting your career, you hate it. What should you do differently? How do you make changes in your life, making sure that you don't blow up your financial part of it? Or how do you use the money you've accumulated to get you to a different place? And maybe it's just you need a pat on the shoulder. Maybe you just need a hug. And maybe it's just something crazy. I have to say, in the last year, we've had some pretty intense conversations. People who have like end stage diagnosis and are come on and they'll say like, listen, I'm going to die in a year. I need to take care of stuff. And I said, I could cry and I could do that, but that's not what you need right now. And they're like, yeah, right. I need like advice. Like that's what I need.
They have people doing that already in their life. Right.
Yeah. And so I think that what we're hoping to do is a space where we just have a repository to kind of take your emotion in and hold you a little bit and listen to what you need to do. And if you're an engineer, we'll tell you exactly what to do so you stop analyzing it.
Right.
If you're somebody who says, quote unquote, I'm bad with money, I think it's baloney. You're probably not bad with money. You're probably just stuck emotionally with something. And we're going to kind of peel this away and get you where you need to go.
So I think you do such a great job with that. And whenever I listen to you, it's a calming. It's always entertaining, but it's like also calming. It's like, all right, so this is not a hedge fund manager. This is not a chief strategist at Morgan Stanley. This is like a regular person who has an expertise, who is talking to regular people. One of the things that we really have not done on the compound up until now is have a lot of conversations with regular people. We take their questions, and Ben Carlson does a really great personal finance show with Duncan each week. But we have not had live conversations with regular folks, and you do that every week, every day of the week, frankly. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be a really interesting dynamic to bring to the channel. I'm so excited about. The other thing that you do, Jill, every week there's news. Some of the news highly pertains to people, like new tax law, etc. And some of the news might pertain to people or might not, and people don't know. So I think one of the things that you bring to the table that I'm also really excited about is, all right, this just happened. Your friends are talking about it. Your parents are asking you questions about it. Your children are asking you questions. What does it mean? How much attention do you need to pay to it? And when you do those breakdowns for people, even if it's not all the time, that's extremely valuable because it's coming from a really genuine place. And I know our audience is going to love that.
Okay, rapid fire with you. What do you think are the three most important economic reports that people need to pay attention to? Like the vast majority normal people. What do they need to think about?
Important for what? For them to understand what's going on?
Yeah, just like a baseline economy.
I think S&P 500 year-to-date return. Mm-hmm. Everyone should have a rough idea how the stock market is doing. Mm-hmm. I think unemployment, very simply, headline unemployment, it doesn't change all that rapidly. It's 3.8%, then it's 3.7%, then it's 3.9%. But that, you should just be aware, and you don't need to know all the sub-indices of that. Mm-hmm. Just headline, like what's going on with the employment situation. Mm-hmm. And then maybe the last one would be University of Michigan consumer confidence.
Do we believe that, though? Because isn't it strange?
Otherwise known as the Ann Arbor Housewives Survey.
Oh, I like that.
Is what Wall Street guys refer to it.
But you know what I find odd about this, all the confidence surveys, even everything now? It's like, I feel terrible. I feel terrible. Yeah. And yet everyone's spending. Yeah. So it doesn't seem to me like, I
don't think it's predictive of anything. Yeah. It's the national mood.
Yeah.
So it's highly dependent on prices, inflation, disinflation, highly dependent on what goes on with employment, highly dependent on political stuff. But it's just like an all-encapsulating way to have a sense of what the common person is feeling. It does not predict what your investments are going to do. Anyone using it that way is going to be very disappointed.
Nerdiest data point that you watch?
Nerdiest data point, economic data point? Mm-hmm. That's a really great question. I think I watch everything. I just don't put a ton of credence into anything particular. Maybe monthly retail sales is interesting. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jolt's survey.
Used to be good.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
Well, I don't believe in the amount
late.
of available jobs, but I do. The quit rate is interesting.
Yeah, but it's a month behind the Labor Department information, which always freaks me out a little.
Case Shiller, 20 city housing, just like broadly speaking, I want to know like what's going on in the housing market. Again, it's not predictive of anything in the stock market. There's no usefulness in my career of that.
Yeah.
It's just good to be aware.
Nerdiest for me, of course, is I think the IRS.gov website is unbelievable.
What do you like to get
First
from
of
that?
all, it's searchable. It is beautifully searchable. There's so much information there about everything.
Yes.
And like to me, like when I need to say like, well, like what do I need to know that's going to really impact people?
Yeah.
Taxes. That really is actually pretty important.
Like what? Like
whatever. The standard deduction is going up. The brackets are changing. The rule about gig workers is not going into effect about like what you have to claim for a 1099. Like these real life things that actually matter. Also, they send out great alerts when there's bad crap happening in the world.
when you get an alert from the IRS, even if it's like, hey,
please report on this.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah from the IRS. Like you don't get like you don't jump. Like,
I don't anymore. I used to.
Okay.
I used to. If you would like to subscribe to my new video channel, all you need to do is go to YouTube, search for The Compound, and we're a separate playlist under that site. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's do an email. This is from one of our favorite emailers, Anonymous. My wife and I have welcomed our first child to our family, and we are thrilled to be parents. But we were shocked when our financial advisor provided us a 529 contribution plan. Assuming a rate of investment return of 6%, education cost of inflation 5%, and an annual cost of education $70,000 in 2041, we need to contribute $19,000 a year, starting this year to cover college. I mean, when I read it that way, Mark, it really sounds horrible, or it sounds great, because if you think like all that money in the future, to break it down and say 19 grand now doesn't sound so horrible, but it depends about everything else going on. My question to you is this: how would you recommend new parents balance saving for their child's education while meeting personal financial goals? To us, the gift of education is paramount. We'd like to position our child to not have significant debt upon completion of higher education. They won't, because you'll be forcing them to go to community college and then public college. It'll be a little bit cheaper for you. All right, I'm just kidding. I know you well enough that you're going to tell us to build back up our emergency reserve fund. Can you provide guidance on how to prioritize or split competing interests with the leftover money we have each month? Here are our areas of focus. Okay. Oh my God, this is hysterical. Okay, so here are the 4 things they want to do, gang. Education funding, we know that. Emergency reserve, retirement, and then they need to float their boat. Get it? We desperately want a boat. I know this is ridiculous. Those are the 4 things they want to do. They are 33 and 37 years old. They make 250 grand. Anonymous has 101,000 in the retirement in their retirement plan. Partner has about let's call it $90,000 split between Roth and traditional. Anonymous contributes 8% to a Roth, has a 5% match. Partner contributes 6% to Roth, has a 6% match. They contribute $5,000 to an HSA every year. They spend it all. Brokerage account paying 0.5% to manage, $583,000. Financial advisor gives advice and doesn't just manage money. There's a 529 account, 4,500. Rainy day fund, high yield savings, 13 grand. Liabilities. There's a house here somewhere. Okay, house of $943,000, $647,000 mortgage at 3.25%, car loans at 5%, like 37 grand. They spend 10 grand a month. Daycare's killing us. Between $1,000 to $2,000 left over each month that needs allocating. Thank you and happy holidays. All right, I'm taking a breath here. Can we just put this boat on the back burner, if you will? Can we? All right, now, here's what I would think. Your emergency reserve is number one. And because you have a baby, I really think this is more important than almost anything else. So right now, they have 13 grand and they spend 10 grand a month. So really, I need you to spend the next, let's say it's a year building up this retirement fund. I mean, this rainy day fund. And then maybe even 2 years. And if you got 2 grand a month, maybe you get there. But you know what you could do, frankly, is you could take money out of, let's make it easier for Anonymous and Anonymous's partner. You could hive off 80 grand of your brokerage account. Okay. You could say to the advisor, put this in a T-bill, put this in a treasury bond, like make 80 grand fixed, but safe, uber safe. Okay. And lock it down. And then you'd have 100 grand that was safe. I could live with that. I really could. But you have to say, but the brokerage account, like you're paying 0.5% on that, but you could say, I want 80 grand to be put in a 2-year, a 5-year, and a 10-year. And that's that. I want it to be a fixed amount that is set aside there. And maybe if they do that, they won't even count it towards your fee. I would lock that down. And if they say, nah, we don't really want to do that, then take 80 grand out and buy yourself a 2-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year CD and have it, 30, 30, 30 or 25, 25, 25. And now you're done. Now you got your rainy day fund and you have $500,000 in your brokerage account. So I think that's fine. The other thing I would consider is, again, depending on the tax liability in this brokerage account, why not use part of the brokerage account and jumpstart the 529 account? Why not take some money out? Especially if you're going to do some reallocation this year, because it is going to be more tax efficient way for you to save inside the 529 than inside the brokerage. So I could see where you would say this year, partner and I are going to put 17 grand each into the 529. Next year, we're going to put 18 grand each into the 529. And now you give yourself a 2-year runway, right? And you got some money in there and you can stop contributing. And now we can just focus on retirement, which is where you really need to pump it up. And then boat back burner. I think that works. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't get too hung up on that $19,000 a year that has to go into a 529. I personally think that's on the high side. I wouldn't be doing that much. Do what you can do. A lot of this is going to get taken care of when the child is, 3 years from now and that $10,000 a month in daycare is gone.
Yes.
That's going to help everything. Then they can increase their retirement contributions. This boat, that will be a possibility at that point in time, but not right now.
If it's driving you a little nutty right now, that's the one reason I would say I think psychologically it might be better for you to get this going now and have the money in the account and starting to grow, and then pull back a little bit on the money that's going into the brokerage account fee. I mean, it's a low fee, so I don't know who the broker is and what they're really telling you. And I hope that you're using a 529 plan that's a direct plan and not paying a fee on that 529 plan money. That's the only last thing I would say. If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. The Jill on Money Show will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we finish up the hour, let's do an email. Remember, if you've got an email question, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. This is from Gary, who writes, I'm unsure whether to do Roth conversions right now with the possible IRMA implication. Let me just interrupt Gary's note by reminding you what IRMA actually is. IRMA is the extra amount that higher income individuals have to pay into the Medicare system. So IRMA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, and it adds hundreds of dollars a month based on your income. Okay, now let me get back to Gary. He says that he is retired. He's 62 and he's single. And he says, I'm not worried about leaving money to anyone. My kids and my grandkids are all doing well. My expenses are about $20,000 a year. Thought of traveling some. There's no state income tax. My pension is $16,000. I'm still waiting on Social Security. I've got no debt. I've got a CD with $391,000, a Roth with $400,000, and a thrift savings plan with $730,000. So, okay, he is in a very low tax bracket. But here's something to consider. If you go up into the next category for IRMA, which is basically if you're single, over $97,000 up to $123,000. If you just convert up to $123,000, it's only going to add $78 a month to your Medicare. Meanwhile, you're facing this big required minimum distribution with that $700,000 in your thrift savings plan. So I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, you convert a little bit every year, or essentially just take some money out of that retirement account and you could add it to your investments. But I do think that you will be happy to have some money that's already been taxed and you'll limit your required minimum distributions in the future. I hope that helps. Okay, it's the Jill on Money Show. We are just answering financial questions right and left. We do it by email. We do it on audio. We do it on video. Go to jillonmoney.com and check out all the ways that you can interact with us. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show. This is where we answer your financial questions. We present cool guests, but mostly it's about you and trying to help you make better financial decisions. If you need some assistance, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Let us know if you'd like to join us on the air, and also let us know if you would like to join us on the air via video, because we've got a brand new venture. It is Jill on Money Video, powered by The Compound. If you're interested, you can just subscribe by going to YouTube and search for The Compound, and we're a separate playlist on their channel, so check it out. And of course, if you just want us to answer your email question, we do that as well. So let's do some emails right now. We're going to start with Fred, who writes, I have two questions. My wife and I are 35-year-old teachers, and we make a combined $180,000 in New York City. We have access to a 403B, a deferred comp, with a 7% guaranteed fixed return. It's amazing, by the way, gang. I've checked this a million times. These teachers in New York have had this guaranteed fixed return that's so high. More than anything else, I can just say, like, wow, that's an amazing deal right there. Okay, back to Fred. They both max out their 403Bs, 22.5. The question, is there a downside to allocating everything to the fixed account? This is so funny, because this is exactly what I was just saying. It's an amazing deal. We do realize we're underperforming the overall market, but we figured this is only $153,000 of our net worth, and the guaranteed return gives us peace of mind while the market fluctuates. They have a combined $130,000 in IRAs in an S&P 500 index fund, which gives us exposure to equities. Should we get out of fixed and go equities considering our age? Look, if you're still putting money into both accounts, if you're putting money both into the 403B and into an IRA, I don't mind it. But you are really young. So maybe what you could do is, could you do halvesies? Like half in the guaranteed fixed account and the other half in a broad index? Maybe that would be better. I wouldn't really think that for 35-year-olds who are going to get a pension in the future, by the way, that you need to take a ton of risk, but I wouldn't mind you being at least 50-50. Okay, second question. We also have access to a 457 plan, this time both traditional and a Roth. I keep hearing how Roth is better, but this year we were able to max out those accounts as well at $22,500 each by using pre-tax contributions. Right now, we have a combined $140,000 in those accounts, unfortunately in traditional. If traditional allows us to save more, is that a good enough reason to continue contributing pre-tax dollars? Look, I think that you should have some money in a Roth option. I really do. So I would really be much more willing to bet that you guys, because you're both teachers, because you will have a pension, you're going to be in a high tax bracket in the future. So I have no fear that by using a Roth that's going to be a bad decision. I know you've got some money that's going in pre-tax in some things, but I love the idea of using a Roth. I think you're going to be happy you did that. And I think you're going to be happy that you had money that was already taxed at these levels. So go get them, teachers. Way to go. Okay, Mark says, not my Mark, the person who's writing this, note. I listened to the Should We Do Roth Conversions? And my wife and I are in a similar situation. One issue you did not address was breaking the Medicare IRMA bracket. Do you normally recommend taking the IRMA increase for 1 year in order to get the long-term benefits of a Roth conversion? Okay, let me just translate for any of you guys who just heard me say the word IRMA and Medicare. And so let me just say what this is about. There is a surcharge based on how much money you earn. And the surcharge is for Medicare people. You are part of the Medicare system. And if you are married, filing joint, you earn less than $194,000, there's no surcharge for your cost of your Medicare. But as you start earning more than that $194,000 as a couple or $97,000 as an individual, there are some charges that are imposed monthly. This is called the IRMA, the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount surcharge. It is true that in a given year, if you pop yourself up into another tax bracket, let's say that, $250,000 or $300,000 and you were normally less than $200,000 and you convert, and you might be subject to a surcharge of a couple $100 in a month. I do think that's totally worth it to lock in your conversion and know that you have money that has already been taxed. Now, listen, Mark, I'd love to talk to you more about your situation specifically, but in general, I think that far too many people are just freaked out about IRMA, mostly because they didn't know at all about it, as opposed to really making the distinction in their brains like, oh, wait a second. So I'm going to pay $2,000 in extra surcharge, but I'm going to already be taxed on a whole bunch of money, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that money's already been taxed at a lower bracket than I think I'll be in the future. And I think that's really the benefit of it. I get it. If you think you're on that IRMA line, just give us a holler and we'd be happy to help you out. Okay, next up, this is Jay who writes, Hi, Jill and Mark. First of all, thank you for all of your fascinating podcasts and the great advice that you two give to listeners. You're welcome. Okay, Jay says, I'm 26 years old. I'm a software engineer. My wife is 27 years old and a teacher. We live in Tennessee. We make $170,000 together and our monthly expenses are $4,700 a month. We have a $280,000 mortgage. We own 2 cars, and there are some notes on the cars. So there's $32,000 at 3.99%, $17,000 car loan at 4.45%. Wife has a student loan with a balance of $55,000. Okay. Jay says, I've got $15,000 in retirement. My wife has about $18,000 in her retirement account, about $10,000 in her pension. Okay, here's the situation. My wife is not interested in financial stuff at all. I find saving and investing, not gambling, interesting. So I've been educating myself on this. Good for you. Awesome. Okay, we're expecting a baby in June of 24. So I suggested we pay off both car loans next year and we can free up the $800 in monthly payments. After the cars are paid off, I'd like us to start paying for her student loan. But here's the thing I would like you guys to enlighten me about. My wife has told me that she has to make 110 qualified payments. Not sure what a qualified payment is, maybe a regular monthly payment with interest. And then the government will forgive her for the rest of the loan. Okay, so this is the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and this is actually how it works. If you work in an organization and you qualify for this, the qualified payments are more about the making sure you work for the organization that qualifies and the right amount of money. I think that what you should do is double, triple check that you are enrolled in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Plan at studentaid.gov and that she is in it and doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing. So she's right about that. We don't have to pay hers off if she's part of the program. We'll get back to Jay's question in just a second. If you have a financial question, it's so easy to just go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button and we'll get your note. If you would like to appear with us here on this radio show or on our podcast, all you need to do is check a box. Mark does everything else. And if you are not camera shy and you want to be on air with us on video, you'll have a choice to do that as well. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. I know we're coming towards the end of the year. In fact, we just did a really cool end-of-year tax and financial planning session, a webinar that we put up behind our paywall. Our paywall is all of $35, so, it ain't so expensive. But anyway, the Jill on Money live service is a way for you to participate in these quarterly live webinars and gain access to special bonus content. Again, it's just $35, so I don't want to go crazy with this. And we did a financial planning, tax planning year-ender with certified financial planner Daniel Forbes. He's a guy who I trained myself. He's so great. And when you join Jill on Money Live, you have access to all the webinars that we've done in the past, as well as all this great video content. So anyway, check it out. We are plunging into the video world. It's so wild. But, I've always done TV, but now we're really going whole hog into video because that's what we hear you want. That's what people are asking for. So if you're asking for it, we're giving it to you. Okay, right now, let's get back to our email question from Jay. I like the idea of paying off the 4.45% loan at the very least, just because that's probably more than a money market gets right now. And then let's see where you guys are. Maybe in owing the money, the $32,000, maybe it'll just get, whittled down. The next and last thing is about the kids' college education, says Jay. And he says, I would like to save for my kids' college. My wife is against it. She said that 4 of her siblings, 2 of them with full paid scholarships, dropped out of college. And she does not want to spend her life saving, and then our kids decide not to pursue college or to drop out. I told her that her reasoning sounds like it's a little bit biased. Okay. She said no, she doesn't want to save money and put kids in a little box where they must go to college, even if they don't want to. Instead, if they want to go to college, they can study hard, get good grades, and get scholarships. Any thoughts? This is such a weird conversation to have. I would love both of you on the line at the same time. Look, you don't have to actually put all the money away for college, but what you may want to do is be able to help them in some way. Maybe there's a negotiation you can have. Maybe if they get good enough grades and they get into maybe a public college, you might help them out, in which case using a 529 could be very important. Or maybe you just want to save in a brokerage account and have that money available if that were the case down the line. I think that this is a tough conversation because of her lived experience. But that being said, I think that there is a way that you can somehow thread the needle a little bit. I like the idea of paying down the debt. and the car debt. I also would like the idea of you guys putting more money into retirement and putting extra money beyond that money into a brokerage account or a 529 plan. If you have more questions, or if she's willing to come on the air with us live, that would be so great. We'd love to actually have a conversation with you about this. Okay, this is from Cynthia, who says, we're 60, and about 5 years ago, my husband received a promotion that pushed us up into the 32% tax bracket. It's a really nice situation with a tax consequence we don't like. All right, I know. But check this out. He makes about $550,000. Our strategy has been to bring our income down to the 24% bracket by maximizing traditional 401k contributions and an HSA, deferring a percentage of his income to get us to $350,000. We have $1.5 million in our traditional IRAs. To maximize Social Security, our plan is for me to claim Social Security on my record at age 62. That would be $1,360. And delay claiming his Social Security until he is 70. We plan to use his deferred income and post-retirement equity payments, $166,000 per year for 3 years, to cover us from his retirement at 65 until he turns 70 and his Social Security kicks in. And then we would tap the IRAs as needed. And at 75, we then have the minimum required distributions. Is this a good plan? Should we suck it up and convert to a Roth knowing we have 10 years for it to grow untouched? We thought the traditional path was better in our situation until recently when we learned that tax rates will likely revert to higher percentages in 2026. Now we've got what you call analysis paralysis. What the heck is the best path forward? Okay. Oh, there's more information. I'm retired and I work pro bono as a nanny for our grandchildren. I love it. Our kids are launched. We contribute $5,000 a year to our 2 grandchildren's 529s. We do expect more grandchildren in the future. We'd like to do the same for all. We have a $150,000 mortgage, a 4.25% interest rate. Our house is worth about $700,000. We have an emergency fund of $200,000, term life of $1 million on each of us until age 70. It's very cheap. That's why they're keeping it. They've completed the estate documents. Our kids are launched, but a goal for us is to fund a family ski vacation every other year for as long as our bodies hold out. That's so great. Right now, that's 8 people, $35,000. Wow. Okay. We just started saving outside retirement. We've got a brokerage account with $60,000. I have a Roth just started with $3,000. So they live in an expensive area. They love to travel, but they need to net $200,000 per year to fund retirement years, including the 529s, our travel, and our dream family vacation. We are on track for that via our deferred income plan through 70, so the retirement accounts will have about 10 more years to grow before we would need to tap them. We expect our needed income to drop down to $150,000, they're talking in today's dollars, at age 75-ish. Probably stop skiing, the house is paid off, blah, blah, blah. We are invested in American funds and Vanguard for the rest, $450,000, $1 million, and blah, 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 blah. We're hoping our plan would keep us funded and in the 24% tax bracket for the duration of our retirement, but it sounds like it will already jump to 28% in 2026. Are we doing the right thing? Are we making the right choices? Suggestions help. You know, I have a hard time with this 32% tax bracket question. I'll tell you why. I don't really know where tax rates are going. I am wondering if more broadly, just forgetting about the tax situation for a second, is maybe the real issue here is that you're putting money away in the retirement account. You already have $1.5 million in the retirement account, and that's just going to grow like crazy. So you are going to have a forced required minimum distribution, probably at least at a 22% bracket and maybe even at a 24% bracket. If you're feeling a little skittish about the 32, I just wouldn't worry too much. I think that the other question that I have is whether you just want more money in the actual brokerage account to give you some of that flexibility that you are seeking. Look, I know none of us understands what's really going to happen with taxes. I just tend to believe that rates and the bracket sizes are all going to shift in the coming 10, 20, 30 years. So in my mind, I would either rather you guys be looking at a brokerage account for part of the money. Maybe you want to do some of the pre-tax money to push you down a little bit, but it doesn't have to all be 24%. And remember that flexibility counts. I'm not sure that I would convert to a Roth because, again, I'd like to preserve some of your liquidity over the next 10, 12, 15 years. I don't think you're making a big mistake. I just think that if you're seeking all the things that you are seeking to do in terms of living a life a little bit richer and more expensive today for the next 10, 12 years, just be careful. These numbers can balloon on you like crazy. So I hope that helps in your decision making. We'll get back to more of your questions in just a second. If you have one, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. It's really so easy. While you're on the website, check out all the content that lives there. A lot of free stuff, our weekly newsletter, the blog section, there's resources. And if you have a few bucks to spend, you can always buy my book, The Great Money Reset, and subscribe to the Jill on Money live service. So check it out, everything at JillOnMoney.com. Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money program, the show that is trying to help you make better financial decisions. And a lot of decisions come up around the end of the year. I think that's normal. Maybe you're spending time with your family and you're like, oh no, I really need to do that estate planning because Jill nags me every single show. I know. I'm sorry to be a nag, but it is important. Maybe it's time for you to rebalance your portfolio. Maybe you'd like to get some help with some tax loss harvesting. These are all year-end tasks that we can assist you with. It's very easy to do. All you need to think about is JillOnMoney.com. That's our website. And you click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. We'll either read it on the air or you come join us on the program or join us for our new video program. Wherever you want us to be, we're going to meet you there. But it all starts with you and your questions. So right now, let's talk to Jay, who's on the line from Kentucky. Hi, Jay. How can we help you today?
Well, I'm looking at retiring here before long. I'm 62 and want to know if I should go ahead and make the leap or should I wait a couple more years? That's kind of what I'm looking at.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations on actually being at the point where you can have this conversation. But next, let's see what's going on. So you're 62. Are you single? Are you married? Are you partnered?
I'm happily married.
Okay. And does your spouse work?
No, she doesn't work currently. She used to, but has been retired herself for a period of time.
Oh, you're jealous of her. Let's be honest. That's really what's happened. Does she receive any pension benefits?
No, but she did work enough to get a small Social Security, and then she spent about 15 years homeschooling the children.
Is she also in her 60s or younger?
Well, she's 61, so in theory, she might start Social Security at 62 and then wait for a larger spousal benefit later.
Okay, great. And you mentioned some kids. How many are there?
There's 3.
Grown and launched and good?
They are.
Okay,
They're good.
Great. So, Jay, how much do you earn right now?
Well, currently I'm earning about $110,000 a year.
Okay.
It's down a little bit from the heydays of 150 a few years ago. The company's not doing the best right now.
Okay.
So.
But 110 has been good in terms of your need. Like, how much do you need to come in to manage your expenses?
Well, after taxes, it's about $75,000, and we're doing just fine on that.
Oh, great. That's awesome. And also after retirement contributions, you put money away?
Yeah, there's there is a 401k and insurance and everything. So, yeah.
So when you factor it all in, you get the 75, you've made your retirement contributions, it pays for your expenses. Is there anything left over, or is 75 the real need? Do you have a sense of that?
Well, I do like 75. It gives a lot of flexibility.
So 75 is kind of what you'd like as a take home, right?
Yeah, the need is, I calculated it, it's down around 55 or 60,000 a year.
All right. But want. Okay. Let's see if you can do the want, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's even
absolutely.
better. So tell us about your savings. What have you done?
I have an IRA with 490 in it, 490,000. A Roth with 350, brokerage account at 390, and a money market with 105.
I'm liking these numbers, Jay.
Yeah, and then there's a small 401k with 75.
Which is your current?
That's right.
Okay, got it. Tell us about the house where you live. Is this a place where you want to stay for retirement?
Yeah, we bought a retirement home in January. It's a single-story patio home. It's $550 value, and we paid cash for it.
My gosh, you are thinking ahead.
We raised the kids in the house. It wasn't our favorite, so when we had the chance to do this, it was something we really wanted to do.
That's great. That's really great. So, Jay, do you hate work? Like, tell us what's going on, almost like the emotional part.
Well, it's getting to be a bit of a grind. I've got a micromanager that is irritating me some.
Do you want to say that person's name and we should just send that person hate mail? No, I'm just kidding. Mark, thanks for the laugh on that. I hate a micromanager, actually. It's one of my least favorite. I almost would. There are some people who actually complain and say, my boss is so aloof. I'm like, ugh, be careful what you wish for, because if you get one of those micromanagers, it's so exhausting. So let me ask you a couple more questions. Social Security for you. If I look ahead at, say, your full retirement age at 67, what's the benefit for you?
It's $3,400.
And the amount at 70?
It'd be, I don't know. I was thinking about getting it at 67, but
okay.
I think it's like 4,200 or so.
Okay. I like to know those. Of course, the longer you wait, the better it is. How is your health? Are you in good health?
In pretty good health. I lost a brother a couple years ago at 64 due to cancer, and that's in the back of my mind.
God, that is so, if that's not the wake-up call, man, I don't know what is, right? Like, I got to sit around with a stupid micromanager? No, thank you. So you'll have Social Security between the two of you, right? You'll have, let's call it about 60 grand a year that's pre-tax Social Security. Do you plan to do any work? If we said, yeah, you're good, would you plan to do any part-time work between now and 67, or are you willing to just spend a bunch of money between now and then?
I'm thinking I might work 1 or 2 days a week.
So if you were to do that, let's say from 62 to 67, how much money could we count on you earning? Let's call it pre-tax before there's any taxation.
Probably $50,000 a year. And I could qualify for ACA that way.
Right. And even if it's less, let's even say less, because let's say 40, because that way you can shoot a little bit lower. And if you do a little bit more, it's not the worst thing in the world. And what he's talking about for the Affordable Care Act, you're talking about making sure you get tax credits for those for the Affordable Care Act, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. We'll get back to Jay in just a minute. If you would like a little bit of a financial boost, another set of eyes and ears on your situation, just go to JillOnMoney.com, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Complete the form. Let us know if you'd like to join us on the air here or on video. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
your back. It's Jill on Money, and we are trying to help you make smarter, more efficient, less emotional financial decisions. But we know that this stuff can be hard, and you're human beings. And so having a little bit of help to guide you is so easy for us because it's not us. It's your situation. And we just want to help you get where you want to go with a little less anxiety. So if you need our help, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Let's get back to Jay from Kentucky. So here's your conundrum. You could say, let me just take the money from the brokerage account to finance the 5 years, right? Because that money's already been taxed. Normally what I would be saying is, oh my God, please take it from the IRA because we want to pull money out, but that'll screw you up with the Affordable Care Act. So let's say for 3 years, you pull from the brokerage account. And from there, you'll pull whatever, let's say 50 grand-ish, maybe 60. Let's say 60 grand a year from the brokerage. Then you're qualifying for Medicare. You, but not your wife, because she's got an extra year, right?
She's got an extra 4 months. So it's
okay. So it's close enough. Okay. So then from there, if you pulled that brokerage account down from 390 and you said, all right, I'm going to take 60 grand out of that. Are you okay with just seeing the value go down? Because it is what it's there for. You okay with that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
And there's there's an inheritance in the picture too.
Okay, let's wait on that for 1 second. So then let's presume we got your 390 turns in, we drop it all the way down, and then you're left with about 150 grand in there in your brokerage. Okay. Then from 65 to 67 for those next 3 years, then you should pull money out of the IRA, because then you should start to pull that down little by little. Otherwise, you're going to get whacked with taxes. So you pull it out what you need from there. Then you're qualifying for Social Security. Honestly, you're in pretty damn good shape at that point. You just keep pulling money out when you need it. There is a lot to be said for the fact that you've saved a lot of money, and I think this is a good game plan. Now, the only downside risk, the big downside risk that I can see is you say to me, well, I know I said I wanted 75, but as it turns out, we wanted 90. we potentially have the mission creep problem. That happens. If you're feeling like that's happening, what you'll do is you'll just work an extra day. You'll make the extra money. You know what I mean? So as long as you're willing to do that. And the other thing is if you're happy enough working part-time and it's 1 or 2 days a week and it's going okay, and you might say to yourself, you know what? This is working well for us. I'm not dipping into my portfolio at all. Maybe I'll do it an extra year or whatever. You'll have more options. If you're willing to do that work, your game plan is doable. But if that mission creep does occur, that's where you run into some problems. Now, you mentioned an inheritance. So let's talk a little bit about what you think could be happening.
My dad's 80 or 91 now, so that's in the back of my mind, and it looks like about another 800,000.
Oh, well, then you're done. You're done.
And I don't like
to
think about the inheritance.
I know. I mean, I have to say that's so funny because on some level, it's like, I hate to say this, but if it's a real thing, then it's a real thing. And
it's not a real thing when you're 40, but when you're 62,
yes,
I think it is.
Right. And if it's, even if God forbid your dad were to get sick and need care and do something like that, maybe even if it's not 800,000, if it's 500,000, that's a real game changer for you. Just a few last questions. So, presuming I say to you, yeah, you're good to go. Like, when do you think you'd pull the trigger? Like, you can't just say I'm up and done. Like, here's my 2 weeks notice, because you've been there a while, right?
After year-end bonuses at the end of January would be the time to leave.
Okay. So, I mean, if you're going to pull the trigger on that in January, obviously the one thing I would also say is that, from now until then, even if you said, I'm going to pull the trigger in January, but I'm going to be there for a month or whatever, you could probably pull back on any retirement plan contribution and keep building up your brokerage account and your money market account because you might need that money. You don't need to put that pre-tax money away right now. It'll hurt a little bit tax-wise, but it's fine. For a few months, I think it's worth doing.
Yeah, well, I'm getting a match on it, though.
Up to the match. That's all we do.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I'm wanting to do right now. Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with that.
And then you guys have your estate documents done?
Yeah, we've done that. They're now a little bit old and they need to be updated. We're going to be doing that now that we got all these accounts kind of set up the way they're going to be for a while.
Okay. That's good. Well, good. Do that. I always say it's probably a time to go look back at every milestone event. It's a good question to say to yourself, like, oh, should I be looking at my estate documents? So if you're hearing this and I'm talking to Jay, it's like, okay, retirement, good time to say like, okay, is everything done the way I want it to be done? It could be like, oh, I have a new grandchild on the way. It could be my kid's getting divorced. Did I do everything that I'm supposed to be doing? Like, all those milestone events are good prompts to get yourself to look at the documents that you've created. If you need some guidance, some coaching, some assistance, all you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will help you out. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we finish up, let's try to help out Nicole, who writes, I started a business in 2018, but really started in earnest in late 2019. And of course, you know what happened in March of 2020. It delayed my business growth. I've been doing gig work to supplement my personal income, but now my debt has grown to more than I can manage. $50,000 with little income from my business. Is working with a debt consolidation company a good idea? Or should I just try to negotiate with my 4 credit card companies myself? The company I considered first asks you to stop making payments on your cards so that they can negotiate better rates. Of course, that damages your credit for a while. What's your advice? Well, first of all, Nicole, I'm so sorry you're going through all of this. It's hard, and it is so hard to start a business, and the timing factor is just immense. I actually think that you have the right instinct here. I would not actually work with a debt consolidation company. I would try to negotiate directly with these card companies. They do like to hear from you, and that will give you a little bit more control in the process. If it doesn't work and you're really underwater, there are other choices to consider. Maybe it's bankruptcy. I don't know what else is going on in your financial life, but I do think paying a debt consolidation company is probably not going to be worth it for someone like you. If you need more information or you'd like to talk to us further, just get back in touch with us. So if you're like Nicole and things are tough and you really want to get a jump on the new year, get in touch with us. JillOnMoney.com is our website. And I know we talk to a lot of people who have a lot of money, but sometimes that doesn't mean that that's the only person who's listening. Your question is valid too. All of our content lives on the JillOnMoney.com website. You can reach us by just hitting that Contact Us button. And don't forget to check out our new YouTube video series called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. Just go to YouTube, search for The Compound, and we are a separate playlist on their channel. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer, and Webb King. Don't forget to lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.